Hey guys, how's it going? James here from Audio.etc. So in this video I am going to be unboxing, looking at and telling you guys a little bit about what I know about some Rockford Fosgate stuff that I am putting in my legacy, Judy as she's called if you know that, if you didn't know that. So in this video I'm going to be looking at my Rockford Fosgate T1000X5AD and my Rockford Fosgate, what is it, a T1S1-12, my subwoofer, and just a couple of other bits and bobs. This is all going in the legacy, so it's basically an unboxing video, kind of a review, and basically just a bit of information about how it's all going to work. Going to do things slightly different this time around. I've got it on the head strap, going to put you on my head, and we'll do a bit of point of view. Okay, so let's get some stuff off this pile. And this thing, might just move this. So yes, in this video we're looking at basically my amplifier, the remote that goes with it, and subwoofer. So let's start with the amplifier. So this is the Rockford Fosgate T1000X5AD. Obviously, if you didn't gather it from the model number, it's a 5-channel. It's rated at 100 watts by 4 at 4 ohms and 2 ohms on all the speaker channels. You can bridge the speaker channels down to 200 watts by 2 at 4 ohms bridged. The subwoofer channel is rated at 400 watts RMS at 4 ohms and 600 watts RMS at 2 ohms and at 1 ohm. So the reason some of the power ratings are the exact same across the different impedances on this amp is because it has Rockford Fosgate's, it's called CP technology in it, which stands for constant power. So I don't know exactly how it works, you'd have to check the website for that, but basically it means that no matter what the impedance load on the amplifier, it's going to put out the same amount of power. So we'll unbox this and have a look at it. So Rockford Fosgate, one thing I've always loved about their stuff is they come with a birth sheet. The big number at the bottom right is what you're looking at. Total power, total RMS power, this is not peak, continuous, 1142 watts. And we've got our individual channel power outputs here as well. So, and this is at 1% total harmonic distortion. So we've got, this is at 2 ohms on the speaker channels. We're getting 117 watts out of the front channels and 113 out of the back, and 683 watts out of the subwoofer channel at 1 ohm. Now, this is something I kind of want to talk to you guys about. Since this amp has that CP in it and it can put out the same amount of power, it's 2 ohms or 1 ohm for the subwoofer channel, I was tossing up whether to go for a 2 ohm sub or a 1 ohm sub, since it was going to mean the same amount of power. I would have preferred a 2 ohm sub, I don't know why, I think there's a bit of a stigma around 1 ohm subwoofers, and I would have preferred to have gone a 2 ohm. Also with a 2 ohm sub, it means if I want to in the future I can get another one of the exact same subwoofer, put them in parallel and make a 1 ohm load for a more powerful amp. But what I had the suppliers do was show me a birth certificate to figure out, because I wanted to have a look at this, and basically what I figured out is that there is a slight power increase on the output side of this amplifier from 2 ohms to 1 ohm on the subwoofer channel. So because of that, whereas I read it down here somewhere, right, so down here, you guys might not be able to see this because it's really small print, but the total RMS power for the whole amplifier running on 2 ohms was 1087 watts. But when it had 2 ohm speakers and a 1 ohm sub, it goes up to 1142. So it goes up by like another sort of 60, 80 odd watts, which isn't that much, but I think it's worth it. Any extra power I can squeeze out of it is worth it. So I'm using it so I'll be using 4 ohm speakers obviously, and that's why I went for a 1 ohm subwoofer. But let's get back to looking at the amplifier. Nice big long unit. Giggity. Ooh yeah, ooh. So what I might do is sit in my chair and we'll have a closer look at this and these wires. So I hope you guys don't mind if I don't take it out of the wrapper just yet. I think I'm going to wait until the day I actually install it to take it out of its wrapper. But on the front here we've got the nice control panel. So you've got the first 3 knobs are your input levels, i.e. your gains. You got your front, rear and subwoofer channel gains. You got your EQ knobs for the front, rear and subwoofer. Basically that's like Rockford Fosgate's punch EQ, and as you turn them up it increases the bass and treble ends of the EQ that is coming out of the amplifier. So if on the front and rear channels, when you increase the EQ knob, you get basically more bass, more treble, and on the subwoofer channel, increasing the EQ puts a bit of a boost on a certain frequency. I'm not 100% sure which it is. I tend to not use these on amplifiers, like whether it's Rockford Fosgate or anything. I tend to not ever use the built-in bass boost or EQ boost, because it's really just boosting up frequencies that is going to result in more distortion, so I tend to leave them. And then at the bottom we've got our 3 frequency control pots. So we've got like 50 Hz round to 250 Hz on all 3 of them, and then beside them there are little switches that say LP, AP or HP for these 2, which stand for low pass, all pass and high pass filters. Same for those for the front and rear. And then beside the subwoofer channel side, we've got an Infrasonic Filter on-off switch. And an infrasonic filter, if you don't know what it is basically, it's like a high-pass filter for subwoofers, where it filters out all of the frequencies below, usually around about 18 or 20 Hertz, which is below the audible range of frequencies for human beings. So you don't really need to be hearing frequencies that your ears physically can't pick up. So if you want, you can turn that on, turn it off. And it's also got a switch above that which says subwoofer input on or off. So I guess what that means is you can run all 5 channels out of this from just 4 channel input on the left hand side there. But if you have RCAs for a subwoofer input as well, you can turn that channel on. What we've also got is at the very top an input clip LED. So that'll let us know if any signal coming into the amplifier is distorting or clipping. And then you've got output clip LEDs for each set of RCAs, your front, your rear and your sub. And you use those LEDs when you're setting up the gains to set the system at a state where no matter what volume you have the system at, it can't distort on the output side of it. And so you can use those LEDs to tune it. At the left hand end, we've got, I'll break this open for you. At the left hand end, we've got our 3 little input plugs. I have to say this is actually one thing I don't like about these amplifiers. You have these little RCA to little 4-pin plug adapters which plug into them. You got 1 per 2 channel set, so obviously front, rear, subwoofer. And I'm just not a fan of, I think the idea is that you can chop these off if you want and solder speaker wires on, so you can just do a high level input. But I'm not a fan of them because of the fact that if you want to put extra money into having good quality RCAs to go from your head unit to the amplifier, it still has to go through this quite cheap feeling little RCA adapter thingy. And like, what's the point of having really nice RCAs if it still has to go through half a foot of just, you know, cheap wire, which at half of it isn't even shielded, you know, like this whole half isn't shielded. And like this isn't, I mean, it's Rockford Fosgate, so it's alright, but it's not super high quality. I just don't like this. It's like a nitpick of mine. I don't know. Seems a wee bit like a weak link in the chain, but oh well, I guess I understand because it's a very small amplifier, so getting 6 RCA heads in there would have been impossible. So I can understand why they did it. It's just something I wish wasn't there. Below the inputs, here we've got remote punch level input, and that's kind of like an Ethernet port there, and what connects to that is this here, this Rockford Fosgate PLC 2 punch remote control. Basically it's like one of those sort of bass knobs that comes with your amplifier. You buy these separately, and what's cool about these Rockford Fosgate ones is they can be dismantled and flush mounted onto different surfaces in a couple of different ways. And it also has an LED on it to let you know if it's clipping on the output side. What is also good about these is it doesn't actually boost up any bass or any frequencies or anything like that. This is purely an attenuation knob. So typically what you would do is have this turned up a wee bit extra, and then have your attenuation knob, which is the unit. See if I can get it out here for you. So that if you had it at maximum, it would be the same as just not having it plugged in at all. But then you can have the ability to turn it down if you want on certain songs. So I've gone for that. Hope to flush mount it somewhere nice in the car. Also, beside that, we've got a 2-channel and 4-channel switch, so that if you are running, like for your speaker output side, you can run it off just 2-channel input or 4-channel. So I guess potentially you could run all 5 channels off just a 2-channel input. You'd set this to 2-channel, and then you'd set the subwoofer channel to off. So that way you could have 2 channels going in and 5 coming out, so that's quite cool. So that's that end. Also at this end we have the fans. It has dual fans for cooling it. Let me just peel this open a wee bit. One here, one there, and it sucks the air all the way through, turns it around a couple times and blows it out the end here, I'm pretty sure. And then at this end we've got our connectors. So this is the big power connector, which these are cool because they do just unplug. They're pretty stiff, which is a good thing, you want that. But they do just, there we go, unplug. Supposedly, like it says on the website that you can fit 4 gauge in here. I have tried fitting a couple bits of 4 gauge in here and it's very tricky. I guess you could fit some cheap 4 gauge in this, but not like some really high quality stuff, which is mostly copper. So either some really high quality 8 gauge or some cheap 4 gauge will fit in these terminals. And then you've got another one which unplugs for your subwoofer channel that looks like 12 gauge sort of ports. And then on the left hand side here there is the plugs for the speaker wire outputs, which are similar to these except they don't have the RCA heads on them. They're basically just a plug with some wire and solder on the end, and you just solder your speaker wires onto them. These amplifiers also come with a Rockford Fosgate setup disc and this little quick start guide on how to A, wire it up, and B, use the clean setup, which is what I was talking about before, those clipping LEDs. So it's a real easy process. Basically all you do is unplug your speakers, turn the volume on your head unit, set everything on the head unit to flat, so no EQs or anything like that. Choose the track off this disc depending on what you're tuning. If you're tuning speakers, then you tune it to 100 Hertz track, and if you're tuning a subwoofer channel, then you tune it to a 40 Hertz track. Then it's real simple from there. You turn the head unit volume up to max, turn it down until the input clip turns off, then you turn the gain on the amplifiers up until you see the output clipping LEDs come on, and when you're using a test tone you wait for them to come on blue, and if they turn blue, red or red, then you turn them back a notch. It's really simple and I love them because it basically allows me to set the gain perfectly without the need of a expensive, you know, SMD DD1 or something like that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this amplifier. They have like a little acrylic thing on the back here as well, which kind of tells you how to wire it up as well. So you got your speaker outputs here, and then this is like the RCA adapters, a picture of them, and they say cut here if using a high level input. So like I said, you can cut off these bits entirely and just solder wires on. And then it's got impedance stability down here, so you don't ever, you know, go wrong with it. Stereo 2 ohms minimum, bridged or mono 4 ohms minimum, and subwoofer 1 ohm minimum. So that's pretty much the look at the subwoofer, guys. That's everything I know about it. I'm really looking forward to getting it in and see how it sounds. And then that's the little remote I showed you. I can put some of this stuff back in real quick, I think. So yeah, that's the amplifier. Close that up, and we'll put the little remote back in its container as well. Right, now the subwoofer. As I said earlier, I went for the 1 ohm version of this subwoofer rather than the 2 ohm because the amplifier does have a slightly higher power output for a 1 ohm sub. This is the Rockford Fosgate T1S1-12. So it's power series, 1 ohm, 12 inch, and the S stands for slimline. And I'll tell you why I went for a slimline sub in a minute. Get this up and out of here. Hello, beautiful. So as you can see already, it is very shallow. Very shallow indeed. Specs on this thing, you already know it's a 1 ohm subwoofer. It's 600 watts RMS, about 1200 watts peak. So dead on perfect power rating for the amplifier. Matched, like pretty much made to match. In fact, I even think I've seen a Rockford Fosgate video where they specifically recommend these two together. So I've definitely got the two matched together. It's so slim, but man, it feels really nice. My last set of Rockford Fosgate subwoofers were P3 D415s, which are the punch level 1, level 15-inch subwoofers, and just feeling the build quality difference, I think it's definitely worth spending the extra money for the power range, because those, even though those P3s were big bastards, they were still like a pressed basket sort of thing. But this is thick, heavy duty cast steel or copper, or I don't know what they use, sorry, but it's definitely cast and it's thick and heavy duty. You can even see down here, there's kind of like a heat sink going on in the base of it. You can see all the fins in there. It's got dual spiders, it's got, I could go on for ages about all the fancy technologies, but I won't bore you with it too much. or the other thing I should mention is that it's got magnets on both the inside and outside of the voice coil. That's pretty clever. It's got a push and pull system, even though it's one voice coil. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like got a carbon fiber cone and an aluminium dust cap. You can hear that. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this beast sounds. So the reason I went for slimline is because a while ago I decided I really like the way Rockford Fosgate's P3 active subwoofers look in the back of my car. Like I'll chuck a picture up. That the materials of this active subwoofer match the upholstery of the back of my boot perfectly, and I'm all about aesthetics and nitpicking and things like that, so I wanted a really nice looking box. So what I got them to do was hunt around their workshop or their warehouse, and they actually managed to find me a returned P3 box without the subwoofer and amp in it. It did have a few nicks here and there in it. It's not in perfect brand new condition. In fact, there's one here that I need to repair, because it's got a few things around that I've repaired simply by colouring it in with black Sharpie, but there is one down here I've missed, and the biggest damage you can see is definitely on the bottom. You can see all those scuff marks there and stuff, but that's not a problem because we're not going to see it. So the reason I went for that slimline subwoofer is because I want there to be as much air in here as physically possible. If I'd have gone for a full depth subwoofer, the more sub you have, the less air there is in the box. So this box is, I think, around about 26 or 27 litres of air, so it's not hugely high. Like I would have preferred to have had about 30 or 32 litres for that sub, but I'm sure it's still going to sound totally fine, but that's why I went for the slimline sub, because I wanted there to be more airspace in here. But I can't just go sitting that in there, unfortunately. I'm going to have to do a couple of modifications. The first of which is I'm going to have to strengthen this box, because I'm not totally sure I'm happy with the build quality of it, considering the subwoofer that goes in here is normally about half as powerful as this bad boy. So what I want to do is completely resin the inside of the box to make it really strong, and that will hold up to the power of the subwoofer hopefully. The other thing I'm going to have to do is, because you can see here they've got like a front baffle and then a secondary baffle where the subwoofer normally like sits flush into. Neither of these holes are right for that subwoofer. It does go in, kind of just, not really, but none of the holes line up right. This hole here, and the inside one, is like, I don't know, I can't tell, is it too tight or not? I don't know. The outside one's definitely too small for this to sit into, so what I think I need to do is somehow widen this outer hole enough for the subwoofer to sit in, and then I think I'm also going to have to widen the inner hole as well so that the subwoofer still goes through it, because I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to like take it to the workshop and do some modding, but that is the plan anyway, to get this flush sitting down inside here. I just don't know how I'm going to do it without like damaging the surface. I thought about maybe I could get like the right size rabbiting router bit, which would take like a width out of it. I don't know. Honestly don't know yet, guys. It's obviously a project. I'll have to figure it as I go, but I just wanted to show you the box it was going to go in anyway. So that's the subwoofer and that's the box that it's going to sit in. It does have a big hole here where the amplifier normally sat. I'll make something up to fill in that gap, and obviously what I'll do is I'll put my subwoofer terminals in there. Maybe a speak-on plug or something, maybe a couple of bolts coming through SMD style. Don't really know yet. Speak-on would be nice because it'd be like nice and quick release. We'll see what I do as when I come to do it. That's the subwoofer and the box. If you want to see all the rest of this shit, I have another video up as well if you want to check that out. So I'll quickly put the subwoofer back in its box. Yeah, so like real quick review of it. Obviously I haven't even heard it yet, but just the feeling of it, amazing. Super high quality build. The membrane feels hardy. I can't even get my fingers in there to push up on the cone, unfortunately, because there's just no finger room above that spider. But it feels nice and stiff, and yeah, like the cast material. It's even got like this nice foam gasket all the way along the bottom of it. I'm super happy with it. Can't wait to hear it. Oh wait, it goes in the bag. Otherwise we'll get polystyrene all through it. So that is my Rockford Fosgate gear that is going in my Project Legacy, guys. If you want to check out how that's going, I'll put the link for the playlist up here. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Hopefully some of you found it interesting, just like a first sort of hands-on look at the T1000X5 and the shallow power series subwoofer. That's kind of why I was making this video. I thought maybe some of you would want to see it close up and hands-on. So I've also made a video looking at the Focal speakers that I'm going to be putting in my car, and also I did a video just with a general look at all of this car audio gear that I've got sitting in my office here, what it all is, what the plan for the Legacy is, updates, all that sort of thing. Both of the links for both of those videos will be at the end of this video in the card. So pretty much from me guys, James here at Audio.etc. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video. Ka kite anō.